Hi, I'm George Nordhaus, and welcome to the Monday morning, and it's the start of something really, really big. I'll tell you what I mean. I tell you the two biggest threats to independent agencies, I think, are commoditization and relationships. And this is so important to all of us that the future of our business really depends on this. And so consequently, I'm going to do it in two parts because I need to, but I'm going to challenge you every step of the way. So hang on, boy, here we come. All right, let's go forward and talk about commoditization. You know about commoditization, I know. You know it's caused by the Geicos of the world and all those people. I don't even have to mention them to you. You know, they're anything that they can sell cheaper, they're going to sell cheaper if they possibly can. You know, you can understand it. You can't blame them for it. It's caused also by the increasingly easier ability of consumers to buy insurance over the internet. They can do it very easily, and they're getting better at it all the time, and you know it and I know it. But again, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. I mean, you know about that, obviously. Well, I'm going to try to talk about commoditization here a little bit today, even though you know about it, in order to let us all be thinking about how can we really win the game, or is there a winning of the game? I did a interview, we did a presentation on the McKinsey report, and I'm sure if you haven't heard about the McKinsey report, you will. It's a tremendous job, or at least some people think so, some don't, about this the future of the independent insurance agents. And I interviewed Scott Addis and Roger Sitkins on it. It's on our, incidentally, if you go to roughnotes.com, you'll see on the home page there the link to it, and you'll see the archive. And the archive, I would go down to see that. This is a wonderful presentation because the McKinsey report really challenges you, and these guys had some great things to say about it. It all started kind of with commoditization, like everything else seems to start. The last paragraph of the McKinsey report puts the insurance distribution future in perspective. It says that fundamental changes in how consumers shop for and purchase insurance, the very nature of how they view that product, are already altering the distribution landscape in personal lines and small commercial lines. And we know that. I mean, we see it in personal lines. We don't see it in small commercial lines yet, but we will. And the pressure on the current economics of the agency model are going to force carriers to rethink how they distribute their products. And I think they've already done that and beginning to do that. McKinsey said to win, insurers, that's our carriers, must develop a thoughtful perspective on what agent models will emerge from the periods of transition. Boy, that's for sure. And a clear strategic plan for harnessing those new models. Yeah, we're all going to have to adjust, and we all kind of know that, don't we? People that argued with that said, oh, well, that's just their opinion of the McKinsey guys. What do they know? There's a firm called Nomura, which is an investment firm. I don't know much about it. It's over in Japan. But they're pretty good. They're worldwide, and they've got some good stuff that they do. And they came up with something that right at the end of the McKinsey report, or after the McKinsey report came out. They said that we believe a critical point has been passed in automobile insurance and making it a commodity. Well, you know that, and I know that. The causes are numerous. I hadn't thought about this. Relentless ads, sure. Increased comfort with online shopping, just said that. Falling numbers of claims, and that's something new I hadn't thought about. And tight household budgets, that's for sure. And of course, improved auto safety. But you already knew that, didn't you? I mean, at least about the commoditization of automobile insurance. I mean, we all knew that. Yeah, sure. But those guys, consultants Gallant and Rohrman, they contend that the value added by independent agents is quickly diminishing. And if they are right, we've got to understand it and begin to think about what we can do about it. They said that technology, we just talked about that, has enabled insurers to have a more direct relationship with consumers, even when the product is purchased through an independent agent. That's an interesting approach, isn't it? They said that who would have ever thought that some of the biggest competitors we'd ever have could be our own insurance companies. Well, you could name some. I don't want to name them here, but you know what I mean. And they're all looking in that direction. Every one of them has. A lot of them haven't done anything about it yet, but maybe they will. I don't know. Al Diamond, who writes the pipeline, well, he's agency consulting group. He's the head of that. Great newsletter, incidentally, one of the best that I read all the time on agency management. He says as it becomes more automated, direct writers have proven that insurance is a commodity. The carriers say, well, insurance can be sold without independent agents. I mean, you're seeing that every day. So many traditional insurance companies have created alternative distribution systems. We just mentioned that. And clients who want to desire independent agents to continue to use them, but consumers want to access the company directly can do it. And, you know, Al's right. Well, all those are very, very interesting things about personal lines. We got so we enjoyed it, not enjoyed it, excuse me, bad word, got so we can handle it or we can see it, we understand how to deal with it, or do we? But then all of a sudden, the word comes out that commercial insurance is going to be commoditized, and how about that? That's small commercial stuff. And the reason that I learned all about this is my friend Barry Wells, who I've known for many, many years, and families know each other and all that. He came over and he looked at every one of the companies. He's an insurance guy in England, and he looked at all of the various commodity type things, and he came to the conclusion that small commercial lines could be commoditized the same way as personal lines. And Barry, he's a smart guy, I can tell you that. And he just is amazing. He decided to create Premier Line Direct. And it used to be, and they have independent agents in London or Britain. I didn't know that they called them that, but thought it was maybe brokers. But he says if we can do it with auto and homeowners and everything else, why not small commercial auto and commercial business to take advantage of weaknesses in this system? And boy, people didn't like what he was doing, I can tell you that. But he created the Geico of UK, at least for small commercial and commercial auto deals. And it was a wonderful story. I mean, it's wonderful if you know, maybe not for independent agents, but here it is, Premier Line Direct, still in existence. An amazing story. You can go look it up if you want to. He had packaged products for individual trades, and that's an interesting thing. Automated underwriting, how do you like that? Pricing algorithms to accurately underwrite and price them. And then he got a lot of different things, hotels, restaurants, garages, a lot of different ones that he did, the most common ones, of course. And he direct marketed every way possible, telemarketing, mailings, trade magazines, yellow pages, everything. A lot of television, strong internet, pay-per-click, search engine optimization. Why hadn't somebody done that here? Well, he said, incidentally, the bigger commercial risks invariably came to the independent agents to get a quote and they can take back and bargain or whatever. Or they came to the direct writing deal, got a quote, and then took it back to compete with their independent agents. I mean, there's a sample of what's happening. Well, Barry is a smart guy, and he sold that to Allianz in 2006 for a bunch of money. And he was the majority stockholder, and he made out like a bandit, not really a bandit. He made out like a guy should have with a great, great idea. He cashed in at the right time, and I think it's still in existence. And incidentally, Barry became a multimillionaire in the process, and I think he might have been already. He has investments all over the world, and he's just quite an interesting guy. You'd like to meet him. You can go back to the archive, the roughnotes.com archive, and see the interview that I did with him a few weeks ago. Boy, is it good. You're going to hear a lot about him. He's a great speaker, too. He's going to do a lot more speaking coming over to the States here. So if you got anybody, if you need a speaker who's a multimillionaire and can tell the story of how he started the Geico of London, then Barry's your guy. He's terrific. Anyhow, well, you say it's not going to be for commercial lines well, wait a minute. Hiscox, you heard them? I see them all over. I see them since I did this slide. I looked in another magazine, and I saw them again. It was B2B magazine, Advertising Age, and I saw them again, full pages, going after small commercial accounts. And they are doing very well. because they're writing direct and they're trying, it's a price thing. It's a commodity and they're doing it, and it's going to happen here too. Why am I talking about this? Because I want you to be thinking, because if they can commoditize all the personal lines and the commercial lines, you are going to, and we all, because I will work with independent agents, we've got some problems we've got to overcome. Another factor that many of us don't really know, that we can't have standalone coverages. It's amazing. Over 50% of all personal lines and over 60%, are you ready for this, a commercial lines business is one policy business for an agent. Man, I mean, that's scary. Agency management systems haven't done much about it either. They would, well, I guess you can find out what how many we have in one policy and so forth, but they don't really put emphasis on cross-selling and to provide the full insurance needs of their clients. And of course, that's a long-term answer to commodity. We know that, and we'll come back at that as we go forward here. Fair warning, you better begin to think of small commercial lines and be able to compete with that one too. Well, Al Diamond, the agency consulting group guy, the guy that wrote the pipeline and all that, he has a very good point on the thing. He says that after Superstorm Sandy, a lot of people really fell short. They didn't have a professional agent. They had somebody, I'm not going to mention names, but they got on the line or whatever on the internet. Al says whenever we re-educate the consumer to understand the importance of agents or wait for a negative experience for them to realize what they're missing, there's always going to be a segment of the insurance buying public that wants the services of an objective professional. Well, Al, I hope you're right. I think you're right, but I think we got to get that across there some way or another. Rough Notes, they're a partner in a lot of things. We do Producer Online with them, a lot of other things. Incidentally, when you go to the roughnotes.com, you can always find the archive right here of all of these webinars that we've been doing every Monday morning. At any rate, they had a wonderful article. They took it from us. It was in the November issue. It was called A Survival Guide for the Local Agent. I interviewed, once again, it was that interview I did with Roger Sitkins and Scott Addis on the McKinsey report. But Roger said when it comes to risk, the winners are going to be those who differentiate themselves. And they're going to tell clients, hey, that's just one of the solutions. It's not the only one. We deal with your total risk. Traditional agents, I love this, continue to do the things the old way. And he says that we describe that as look, copy, quote, and pray. That's the kind of behavior that causes consumers to tell us, you guys are all the same. He says agents who use the traditional approach efficiently, thank you, may do fine, but they will have to redefine where they're going in this model. And he's exactly right. Scott Addis said, I believe agents can do three simple things to expand and grow in tremendous ways. And I'm starting to use these three things as my mantra, I guess. Number one, you're going to have to repackage. Like it or not, start thinking about it. Number two, you're going to have to reposition yourself. Where are you? Where do you stand? I won't go into detail on it because number three is what got my attention. Develop a unique process that focuses on creating intimacy in the customer experience. Boy, those are fabulous words. Obviously, the issue here is commoditization in auto, homeowners, and small commercial. Yes, yes, yes. No question about it. Think about that. Creating intimacy in the customer experience. Wow. He says, I strongly believe commoditization creates a huge opportunity for agents who are able to stand out in a crowded, no D in there, but a crowded marketplace. Anyhow, he's right. Well, Bruce Cochran, who is the president of Renaissance Alliance, that's New England's #1 insurance aggregator. He said it too. These are top people, all of them, and they're all agreeing what agents need to do is ratchet up their value by delivering a higher level of knowledge, expertise, and services. Well, yeah, we already know that. But he says then we have to offer complementary non-PNC services to customers. You know what he means. Maybe it's human resources. Maybe it can be a variety of things. The traditional independent agent economics are breaking down, and agents need to adjust now before they find the train has left the station. Well, what's the point of all this? McKinsey's conclusion said the long-term future for all of us is we've got to win if we're going to learn to differentiate ourselves from the competitors. including, and this was interesting, they said the very insurers that they, as you, represent today. And he talks about branding. He said the overworked but still vital term branding is going to be more important in the future. Now, I mean, it is important now. It's going to be more and more in the future. We know that. And I love this. This is the point of all of this. Agents will have to come to grips with that increasingly asked question, how are we different from anybody else in our footprint? And that's the answer, isn't it? Sure, easy for me to say, hard for all of us to do. Well, we all agree. Most of the personal lines will be commoditized, already are. Some of them are not yet. Many, if not most of the smaller commercial lines will be too. So I have a challenge for you. My challenge is just this. Ask yourself this question, perhaps the most vital question affecting your agency's future. What are we going to do about commoditization? What are we going to do about it? If your answer is create relationships, well, I thought that would be your answer. Then you'd better listen to next week's Monday morning where I'll show you how dangerous relying on that concept, or that concept alone, can be to any agency if, well, I won't go any further. I'll let you come back next Monday and figure it out. Meanwhile, let me suggest to you that you go back to the email that came along, that came with this. You can always get the archive there. Just click on Rough Notes. You can go back and see all of these interviews. And boy, there's some great guys and gals on here. Wonderful. And then you can also go to the Insurance Community Center there. Click on that, and you'll get the quiz flash of the week. And that's awfully good. I think it's just terrific. Time week after week, only 5 questions. And finally, you can go into and get the errors and omissions risk of the week. That's very good too, but they have just come out with another book, or it's their second one, on insurance agency risk management, errors and omissions exposures in the sales process. Boy, it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And you know Kurt Pearsall, and probably he's the spokesman for that, and Angelo with Agencies Online, Agencies of America. They put this out, and boy, it is just ideal. So may I suggest, we'll have a link on there. And so just go to that link and you'll find out more about it. I think it's a good investment. I think every agency should have it. Okay, having said all that, next week we're going to talk about, you know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about relationships. How to, what to, not necessarily, but what's it really mean, and what can we do? And what can we do solidly, planned, well ahead, make this thing a real answer for commoditization. And so I will see you next Monday morning.